Hey pilots, 𝓒𝓞𝓝 here. Thanks for tuning in. Something I've been noticing lately in Arena Commander, and which will be apparent through this video, which all of it was captured over the course of about an hour. There's a very high prevalence of people using the shield exploit, or maybe unintentionally using it and simply not being aware of the bug. Normally, and as far as I can tell from the intended behavior, after your shields suffer their last hit, there's a 5-second delay before shield regeneration can begin again. But as you may be noticing in the clips that I'm showing you, and I try and make it obvious with text on the screen, there are many instances where this shield regen delay is much less than 5 seconds, and in some cases appears to be instantaneous, or nearly instantaneous, after taking the last hit. So how are people doing this? How do you make your shield regen start in less than 5 seconds after the last hit? It involves switching around your capacitor distributions at certain times. And in recent times, at least 50% of people in AC lobbies seem to be using it. In this video you can see I'm not using this exploit, but every clip that I demonstrated is showing instances where it is. Is it wrong for people to use this exploit? Well, you can approach that question from multiple angles. First, with all things in Star Citizen, we have to ask ourselves, is this a bug that can be exploited, or is this an intended behavior? Is this a feature? There is something that suggests this is not an intended feature. Before we get into that, please take a moment to appreciate the broken hit reg. This could use some work, CIG. So how do we know this is a bug and not an intended feature? Well, there was an IC report made a few months ago showing how to reproduce the near instant shield regen. And it was taken down because of its exploit potential. So that suggests that this is not an intended feature, that this is indeed a bug, which can be exploited. After that issue council report was made, it was really CIG's responsibility for patching this out. And they never did that. And the report was hidden so other players couldn't see how to get this instant shield regen delay. And that's a problem, because right now, there's nowhere you can just look up instructions on how to do this, which unfortunately means newer players who may not be quite as in the loop on the goings-on of the PvP community are stepping in with an inherent disadvantage. Or players who are morally opposed to using exploits, who just want to be honest players, they want to play the game without any bullshit, they're at a disadvantage as well. This is really something that should have gone into the known issues, because I will say that to actually do this exploit, to get your shields to pop, you do have to do some, more capacitor management than you otherwise might. And that introduces some interesting complexity. Unfortunately, it is something that can easily be macroed, and that is one of my other problems with it. I think the use of macros in a competitive environment is lame, but I place more fault in the game design for macros being helpful rather than the macro users themselves. That's basically how I felt in the recent previous patches where, people were putting in the pip wiggle macros and were making themselves very hard to hit. I found them very annoying, but I had more issue with the game design for making that be a viable strategy, and that's why I pretty much just stopped playing for a year. So, ideally, what do I think CIG should do about it? Obviously, patching it out would be good, but it actually adds some interesting complexity to combat. So it might be interesting if they added in a feature similar to what the shield exploit does now. If they don't patch it out or amend it to be an added feature, then it really needs to go into the known issues and people need to know how to actually do this. It shouldn't just be knowledge circulated amongst competitive PvP orgs, because it places newer players at a significant disadvantage. If there is no disclosure, then I might need to explore the terms of service and see if this is something I can share myself, because given the prevalence of how many people are using this, I don't think it should be limited knowledge. I think Oregon affiliated players and newer players should be aware of it as well. Thank you so much for watching and for your gracious continued support. Please consider subscribing if you enjoyed. It really helps out a small channel like mine. If you're looking for a friendly PvP community, check out the 𝓒𝓞𝓝 PvP Academy Discord link below, the largest SC PvP server. See you in the next one, pilots. 𝓒𝓞𝓝 out.